It is the 6th day of the ongoing Dasai festival today. 9 different representations of Goddess Durga are worshipped during the first 9 days of the festival, as deity Katyayani is being worshipped across the country today. Apart from the festive mood back home, the entire global attention has been grabbed by the Israel-Gaza war, which entered into its 14th day today. The attention from the initial Hamas hostilities has now shifted to the dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza City, where around 1 million population has been displaced since the latest warfare began on the 7th of October. Good morning, I'm Prarambha Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Goddess Katyayani being worshipped on the 6th day of Bada Dasai festival today. Devotees thronging Durga temple since the early morning. Badri KC elected the president of the non-resident Nepali Association. Election results disputed. Defeated candidates Shrestha and Sharma warn of legal treatment. US President Joe Biden says he will not let Hamas and Putin win. To ask US Congress for billions of dollars in funding for Israel and Ukraine, adds abandoning the US allies was just not worth it. And Pakistan play Australia at the ICC Men's One-Day International Cricket World Cup today. Both teams under tremendous pressure to secure a win. On the 6th day of the ongoing Dasai festival today, Hindu devotees are worshipping Goddess Katyayani, which is one form of the 9 forms of Goddess Durga. There is religious belief that diseases, fear, sufferings, among other troubles will go away by worshipping Goddess Katyayani. Katyayani is regarded as the goddess of power and one of the fiercest goddesses among the 9 forms of Goddess Durga. As per Hindu Vedic tradition, 9 different forms of Goddess Durga are worshipped, one on each day during Navaratri, from Godastapana, the first day of Dasai, till Navami, the 9th day of the festival. On the 6th day of Dasai today, devotees have been thronging the Katyayani temple near Vimshangola in Kathmandu, along with other Durga temples throughout the country from early this morning. Now, more than 65,000 consumers have taken the services provided by the fair price stores of government-owned Salt Trading Limited and Food Management and Trading Company Limited in the past 12 days. Salt Trading Limited and Food Management and Trading Company Limited started the operation of the fair price stores from the 8th of October earlier this month. More than 50,000 people have received services from the 8 outlets of Salt Trading Limited and 15,000 people from the 6 outlets of Food Management and Trading Company Limited. Salt Trading Limited has been carrying out transactions worth more than 2 million rupees on a daily basis. Of the 50,000 consumers that reached the fair price stores of Salt Trading Limited, more than 45,300 have purchased sugar. In our public affairs segment, we've asked in several provinces regarding public access to consumable goods during the Dasai festival. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
मान्छेको चहलपहल पनि घटिरहेको छ बजारमा हैन बाहिर जाने गर्नुहुन्छ त्यही भएर सामान पनि व्यापारीहरुले चाहिँ कम राख्दै आउनु भएको छ
कृत्रिम अभावले गर्दा सामानहरु पाइन अलि समस्या छ महंगाई त्यस्तै छ
सजिलैसँग सामानहरु पाइराखेको छ कतिपय सामानहरु बाहिरबाट मगाउँदा पनि उपलब्ध भइराखेको छ
हामीले उपयोग गर्ने सामानहरु बजारमा पाउन त ठिकै पाइएको छ
वस्तुको मूल्यमा वृद्धि त छैन तर सबै व्यक्तिहरुसँग पैसै नभएको अवस्था हो
उपभोग्य सामानको मूल्य सर्वसुलभ नै छ
तेल चिनीहरु न्यूनतम घरमा चल्ने खाद्यान्नको सामग्रीहरु पनि पाइएको छैन
एउटै रेट गर्दिनु भयो भने सबैलाई सहजीकरण हुन्छ
मूल्यको हकमा त अब अलि बढी नै बढिरहेछ अहिले अब यो राष्ट्रिय समस्या नै हो
सामग्रीहरु चाहिँ पैसा तिर्यो भने चाहिँ सहजै पाइएको छ तर भाग चाहिँ एकदमै हाई छ के
उपभोग्य सामानहरु अहिले चाहिँ बजारमा चाहिँ सर्टेजको अवस्थामा छ सामानहरु दुकाइएको छ तर अब सामान पाइहाल्यो भने पनि अत्याधिक महँगो रूपमा चाहिँ भएको छ
Badri KC has been elected the president of the non-resident Nepali Association NRNA. Election for the new leadership of the NRNA was held yesterday. However, the result of the election has been drawn into controversies. According to the election committee, KC, who was elected the new president, had received 1,378 votes, while his competitors Rajendra Kumar Sharma received 1,281 votes and Mahesh Shrestha generated 1,225 votes. Himra Sharma, Rovin Sherchan, Ram Sharan Simkhada, Khagendra Neupane, Raj Regmi and Binod Shrestha were elected the vice presidents. Rosina Pradhan was elected the woman vice president and Roshan Thapa was elected the youth vice president. Gauriraj Joshi has been elected the General Secretary, while Somsap Kotai and Pravin Gurung were elected the Deputy General Secretaries. The election, which was held yesterday, has been drawn into controversies. Candidates for presidency, Mahesh Shrestha and Rajendra Kumar Sharma, have disagreed with the results. Shrestha and Sharma have shared their grievances, alleging of rigged election, irregularities from the entity responsible for the online voting, and depriving a few voters from participating in the voting process. They have also warned of legal treatment against what they have termed the irregularities in the election. Meanwhile, the disgruntled faction met with Prime Minister Dahal yesterday and urged him not to approve the election results and direct the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to call for a re-election. The NRNA is registered at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a separate entity. According to the Constitution of Nepal, presidential pardon can be granted or the punishments can be reduced in terms of verdicts issued by courts, judicial or quasi-judicial bodies, administrative officials or entities. Now, based on this, the government makes recommendations to pardon inmates after they complete half of their term. However, abuse of this provision has increased social challenges. Experts of criminology say that the government must take accountability for this as well. Lokendra Bahadur Vishwakarma, alias Lokendra of Stani Veri Rural Municipality, Ward number 9, Rukum, who had been granted presidential pardon on the occasion of the Constitution Day, had killed 27-year-old Bhavana Vishwakarma 25 days after he was released from the prison. Police have said Lokendra has already confessed to his crime. Lokendra, who had served an 11-month jail term on the charge of polygamy, had been granted presidential pardon after serving 6 months in jail. A total of 1,153 jail inmates have been administered pardon this year, along with 483 on the occasion of Democracy Day and 670 on the Constitution Day. 171 among those who had been granted pardon had been sentenced on charges of murder. Yogesh Dahal, also known as Regal, who was involved in the murder of Chetan Manandar in Nepalganj by attacking him with a sharp weapon, had also been granted presidential pardon this year. Around 7,000 jailbirds have received such pardons within the past 5 years. Meanwhile, the government has been criticized from all quarters, saying that this will likely pose risk to the families of the victims. Suresh Kumar, who had killed his own grandmother and aunt in 2012, had killed his friend Jiwan Bahadur a month after being released from jail. Such incidents have reoccurred amid absence of counseling at prisons and the trend of providing pardons indiscriminately. Legal experts say that the president must be held accountable for the abuse of the jurisdiction provided to the head of the state. Likewise, Resham Chaudhary, who is the main accused of the Tikapur massacre, has also been granted presidential pardon. Experts say that the indiscriminate recommendations made by the government to grant pardon to criminals have caused increasing threat to the social security. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, what is your take on the trend of starting big investment projects without adequate study? Your options are A. Political pressure, B. ploy to show work, and C. lack of knowledge. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the international news. US President Joe Biden has said Hamas and Russia are both out to annihilate democracies in an impassioned speech to the nation from the Oval Office, where he made the case for assistance to Ukraine and Israel as a vital US interest. In the primetime speech, President Biden said Hamas and Russian President Vladimir Putin represent different threats, but they both want to completely annihilate a neighboring democracy. In the televised address to the nation, Biden said the U.S. cannot and will not let terrorists like Hamas and tyrants like Putin win. He said he would ask Congress to approve massive funding to help Ukraine and Israel, arguing that this was an investment for the United States' future as a global leader. Fresh from a whirlwind trip to Israel this week, President Biden wants to win over war-weary voters and hardline Republicans as he ramps up his 2024 re-election bid. The White House is said to be teeing up a huge request to Congress for a $100 billion package that would include funding for Israel in its war with Hamas and also for Ukraine's battle against Russian invasion. U.S. presidents traditionally reserve speeches from the solemn setting of the Oval Office for moments of key national significance. Biden's only previous address from there was in June when he held a deal with Congress to avert what would have been a catastrophic U.S. debt default. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. During a press conference in Cairo with Egyptian Minister for Foreign Affairs Sameh Shukri, Guterres said Gaza needs aid at scale and on a sustained basis. He called on Hamas to release the hostages it seized on the 7th of October and on Israel to give unrestricted access for aid. Dozens of people have protested outside the Israeli embassy in Santiago, Chile, in support of Palestinians in Gaza. Protesters waved Palestinian flags while denouncing that Israel was committing genocide in its ongoing attacks in the Palestinian Gaza Strip. Thousands have been marching in many cities worldwide over the past few days as Israel intensified its airstrikes at the besieged strip since the 7th of October. According to Palestinian health officials, the toll from Israeli strikes on Gaza has risen to more than 3,500 dead and more than 12,000 wounded. Hamas seized about 200 hostages during its cross-border attack on Israel on the 7th of October and killed around 1,400 people in the assault. Russian President Vladimir Putin visited a military command center in the southern city of Rostov-on-Don amid an ongoing conflict with Ukraine. Putin met the chief of the General Staff of Russia's armed forces, Valery Gerasimov. No details on what was discussed at the meeting were immediately made available. The visit is Putin's fourth to the command center in Rostov-on-Don, a city just 100 kilometers from Ukraine's border, according to Russian state news agency TASS. Haitian police have arrested former justice official Joseph Felix Bardio in the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. Bardio is accused by investigators of ordering the hitman who carried out the attack in July 2021. Armed police intercepted Bardio as he was driving out of a supermarket parking lot in Pétionville, a Port-au-Prince suburb, on Thursday afternoon, according to a witness at the scene. Bardio, considered the main suspect in the assassination plot by Haitian officials and rights groups, is charged with murder, attempted murder, and armed robbery. Moïse was shot dead in his bedroom after a group of armed men burst into his home in the hills above Port-au-Prince. Investigators accused Bardio of ordering the Colombian hitman to carry out the deadly attack. The Macallan Adami 1926, a rare Scotch whisky, is to be auctioned in London next month and could fetch an estimated price of up to £1.2 million. There are a number of reasons this whisky is special. It goes back to the vintage, which is 1926. Pre-war, it is nearly 100 years old. On top of that, you've got 60 years of barrel aging. Then you've got the fact that only 40 bottles in total exist and only 12 with this particular level. So it is extremely rare. According to the press release, after being aged in sherry casks for 60 years, only 40 bottles of the Macallan 1926 were bottled in 1986. The 40 bottles were reportedly not made available for purchase, but rather offered to the Macallan's top clients. The auction estimation has been set at £750,000 to £1.2 million. Time now for the sports news.
Sports news.
Now, 11 clubs to attend the Special General Assembly of the National Football Governing Body, the All Nepal Football Association ANFA, have been decided. The Special General Assembly of the ANFA is slated for the 9th of November. The General Assembly is to decide on the continuity of the term of ANFA President Pankaj Bikram Nembang. B Division clubs Saraswati, Birganj United, RCT, Chasal, Naya Basti, Bansbari, Madhepur Thimi, Tusal, Brigade Boys, Sri Kumari Club and Boys Union have been selected for the General Assembly. However, Jhapa Club, Planning Boys and Sri Bhagwati have missed out on the voting rights at the General Assembly. All entities with voting rights from the C Division and Koshi Province have also been decided. All clubs of the A Division League will participate in the voting process. The ANFA General Assembly was called after 40% members had proposed for the Special General Assembly with demand of resignation of ANFA President Nembang on the 11th of September. Members are to vote on the proposal at the Special General Assembly. That is all for the moment. Our next news bulletin is at 6 p.m. Thank you for staying with us. Have a beautiful day ahead.